Well, hello friends. I am popping in to give you a tour of my studio. I've had several people ask, especially since the flood and we had to redo a whole bunch of things. Hopefully you can hear me well because I'm just using the camera audio. But I thought I would just kind of take you around, give you a tour of where I create, and then take you out to the outer studio where we have staff and all that kind of stuff. So this is the entryway into my space, and I'm just coming in here, and to my left I've got some bookshelves that house all my inspiration books and things like that. And then back here is a little cubby of additional supplies and all my vintage books and all kinds of goodness. And then I've got a chair here. I think you can see that. And the business side of things, my invoices and bills, swing back around here. Try not to make you guys sick by going too fast. This is the business side of the studio. So this is my desk here, and computer, all that kind of stuff. Up above my desk I have all my inspirational power ladies up there by some of my favorite artists. I've got let's see, Julie Campbell, Tracy Verdugo. Beautiful, beautiful. And then pictures of my people and inspiration up there. And then on this side I've got my inspiration board that I need to redo, but you know, just haven't had any time. And so that's my desk area, planning, all that kind of stuff, where I sit and read in the morning, devotionals and those kinds of things down here. And then storage and filing, printer, magazines, inspiration. And then I'll come back here to kind of start to walk into, so this little shelf here has projects that I'm working on and supplies that I use but not on a regular basis, are out in this little cart here. On this side of my table, so obviously that's my table. This side of my table is planning. That's everything for the year 2022, all the workshops, all the things that need to get done. This is a project that I'm currently working on. And then on this side I have racks with my stencils. And I'll show that to you a little bit more, and a few shelves up there. And then I'm coming around here into the inner sanctum of where I create. I've got shelves here that house lots of different things like papers. I'll try and do this right here. Supplies. These are things that I use but not on a regular basis. You can see that. And then following along here, this is my backdrop to you know, where I film. Plus it's dual purpose, so I'll try and come back over here. I've got I've got paints and my supplies, and I'm going to come in here hopefully so you can see this. So one of the best things that I get asked how I organize things. One of the best things that you can do is organize by color. So I have reds, yellows, purples over here. I've got some raw umber in there, but that's kind of a given. Red, yellow, purple, pens, markers, pencils. They're all color coordinated in their zone, color zone. These are blues and greens over here, and neutrals. Same with the paints over here. And then I've got my journals that I work in that are finished on the shelves sitting pretty. And then down below this shelf are all the journals that I'm currently working in. And then I've got my mixed media paper, rice paper, tissue paper. This is full sheet vintage paper that I printed, and this is real vintage paper here. These are all things that I go to quite often on a weekly basis. And then another cart here with supplies, and then my wonderful vintage typewriter. But even my soft pastels are sorted by color. So neutrals, yellows and oranges, pinks, purples, blues and greens. Soft oil pastels are sorted the same way, and my paints are sorted the same way. So I go in color by color. And it just, when you're creating and you know where your section of color is, it makes it so easy to create with. I've got my Liquitex spray paints over here, and then in this section here are all my mediums, texture paste, gesso, extra things like that are in this area. Liquitex soft body paints, and then more mediums here. This pile of papers is what I use to practice on if I have an idea or I'm trying a new product out. I just pull one of these out and use it and then put it back and cover back over it. Oil pastels. This is where the camera that I'm filming on usually sits. So I have 3 cameras in my studio to film with. Those are the pups barking. This is like a Lazy Susan that has more paints on it. And the closer that things get to my table are the things that I use the most. You want, when you're creating, or at least I do, to have things close by and easily accessible. Okay, we're here at my table, and my table is a very large table, so I am very blessed to have a space like this. But out here on my table are the paints that I use most often, and that changes. I will rotate things. I get in a kick on something and I'll use those, and whatever I'm using at the current time goes in front of me. My gesso, gels, fluid matte medium, and then again my paints are sorted by color: magentas and oranges, greens, blues, blacks, and then I have 2 water buckets that are really dirty right now that I was going to take to the sink. But this is the dirty bucket and this is the clean. So when I rinse my brushes, I rinse the dirty first here and then I rinse it clean here. And then I have a towel out here that I kind of wipe off of. My palette, my heat tool, trusty heat tool. It's been with me for a very long time. Scissors, stenciling material. And then you can see blacks, greens, magentas. I've got my brushes separated into angles, round, and filberts, and flats are over here in this little doozy of a pile. This is as clean as my studio is going to get. These are things that I use all the time. This is my small little bits of collage paper that I use for, you know, conquer the pile or different things like that. That's the little bits, the little tiny extras. They just go here in this pile. Water bottles or water, alcohol, brushes, and then back in the back here I've got some of my masks, my stencil masks. These are the new stencils out right now. This right here, I've got 2 stands here on my desk. That helps me as I'm filming or teaching. And then this here is a switcher for when I go live. I can switch back and forth cameras. I have 3 cameras in my studio space that I use to film with. and I have 2 monitors. So I have my main front camera, and then I have an overhead camera, and then I have the camera that I have in my hand that goes back over here against the wall. And up on the ceiling I have sound tiles to help keep the sound down so it doesn't sound so echoey as I am teaching. On my table I have silicone mats because all of my mediums just peel right off. I can take it to the sink and wash it off. And then underneath my table, so I've got, on this side I've got a few stamps that I just don't use. My gel plates are down there. Trash, tissue paper. This thing is the best thing ever. It is a magnetic paper towel holder. My legs on my table are metal, and it just clinks right to the metal, and I love that. I've got my carts underneath here that have additional paints that I use but are not regular, because the regulars go on my table. I have my stool that I sit in. I don't typically sit very often because my table is standing height. And then right here is the main storage of my collage papers. This is a really cool little, my arms aren't long enough to get everything in the frame. So these trays lift up, and so I have, again, my papers sorted in color. So tissue papers are on the top, and then greens, magentas, oranges, multicolored, neutrals, and some odd papers down at the bottom. And then I have another cart back there that I use to put goodies in. All of my favorite brushes, palette knives, and everything are all right in this area. So everything, so I'm standing at my desk, everything is right around me, ready to use. All the way around. And then this is the view from when I film. And you guys don't see that when you see me on camera. I've got 2 overhead really great lights that help keep everything nice and bright. I don't know the names of them. It's been a while. Let me go back over here so you can see how I have my stencils arranged. I've got a grid rack back there, a grid wall, and brackets, and I hang all of my stencils on little hooks with clips. And then my planning board is in the very back. And that is the tour of my studio. We'll head out to the front. Okay, so we're coming out into our main workroom. Work table, stencils getting ready to go out. This has all been rearranged since the flood. This is where Patty sits and works and processes your orders. And extra little storage area here. April works over here. She's my main assistant. She kind of answers all customer service questions, handles memberships, all that kind of stuff. And then we'll swing around. This is storage for canvases. That's the doggy bed. Got to have the pups in there. Work table. And then over here we've got the candy section. Oh, we got to have some chocolate in here. And additional supplies. This is washroom where we can where I clean up my brushes and everything like that, and additional storage. And this is the shipping station, order prep station right here. And I'll come around this side. And this is shipping side for the most part. And this is where Jenny, who does all the shipping, sits. And all the beautiful art on the walls. 1 sold, 2 sold. We're constantly rearranging because as soon as something sells, then we have a hole. And then I'll go into this area over here. And so this is storage area here. This used to be my studio area, but my studio now is soundproofed, which is really nice. But it's kind of, this area is kind of a mess. But this is where we prep all of our wood prints, wood panels, originals, seal everything. This is all happening here in this area. All of my MDF board that I create on is here, and we prep those for prints that get ordered. And we need to really clean up this space. It's kind of a mess. So that is this area, and that is the tour of my studio. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon.